The battlefield of Kepler 442b was silent in a way that never meant peace. It was the silence that came after cities stopped screaming. Burning alien wreckage floated in low-orbit debris fields, rotating slowly above the planet like dead stars refusing to fall. Human dropships were pulling back, but not in retreat that the enemy understood. It looked like withdrawal, but it wasn't. Somewhere in the ruins of a collapsed alien forward command structure, a single human soldier lay half-buried under fractured alloy and shattered stone. His armor was cracked open along the chest plate. The helmet was split down one side, visor flickering with dying systems. No movement, no signal, only dust settling on something that looked already claimed by death. Above him, alien aerial drones scanned the battlefield again and again. They marked every human unit confirmed, destroyed, or withdrawn. One of them paused, then marked him as inactive. The alien commander descended with a small escort unit. Their armor was not heavy like human steel. It was smooth, adaptive, almost organic in its motion. They walked like they had already won every war they would ever fight. The commander looked down at the human body. He spoke calmly. Primitive physiology, still intact enough for study. A technician knelt beside the soldier and scanned him. Neural activity minimal, heart rate unstable, near death. The commander nodded. Secure him. There was no hesitation, no respect, no caution, just collection. Two aliens lifted the human carefully and placed him into a containment pod. The pod sealed with a soft mechanical hiss. Electromagnetic restraints activated instantly, locking every limb, every muscle group, even involuntary nerve responses. The alien technician stepped back. Subject secured. The commander turned away. Too easy. That was the first mistake. The transport ship lifted off from Kepler 442b's surface, cutting through the atmosphere like a blade through fabric. Inside, the containment pod was placed in a sterile observation chamber. Alien scientists gathered around it. They were not afraid. They were curious. And curiosity, in their species, had replaced caution long ago. The human soldier lay motionless inside the pod. His chest rose and fell in irregular intervals. Every scan confirmed the same thing. Weak, dying, unimportant. One scientist tapped the console. Should we begin neural extraction while cognitive collapse is still incomplete? The commander shook his head. Wait until stabilization. Minutes passed. Then something changed. A technician frowned. Heart rate increasing. Another looked closer. That's not possible. He should be slipping further into coma. Inside the pod, the soldier's fingers moved. Barely. A twitch. So small it almost went unnoticed. But the system noticed. A warning blinked on the console. Subject motor activity detected. The room went quiet. The commander stepped forward. He's supposed to be unconscious. The scientist replied quickly. Reflex response. Residual nerve firing. But even as he said it, the soldier's hand clenched once. Slow, controlled, not random, intentional. Inside the containment pod, the soldier's vision returned in fragments. Light first, then sound, then pressure, then pain. But he did not move immediately. He waited. He listened. He counted. Breathing steadying now. Too steady for someone near death. Then his voice came through the internal comm pickup, broken and distorted by alien translation filters. Where am I? The translator struggled, then rendered it. Unknown environment. Hostile containment confirmed. The alien technician stepped back. That's impossible. Cognitive recovery this fast? The commander leaned closer to the glass. Human, you are captured. Do you understand your situation? A pause. Long. Too long. Then the soldier turned his head slightly, slowly, like the weight of the universe had become irrelevant. Yeah, one word. But it landed wrong. Not fear, not panic, just acknowledgement. The commander frowned. You should be afraid. Another pause. Then, am I? Silence filled the chamber. For the first time since the war began, no alien spoke immediately after a human response. Ship systems flickered. A minor diagnostic error appeared on a side console, then disappeared, then reappeared somewhere else. A technician looked confused. Power fluctuation in non-critical systems. Another responded. Probably atmospheric residue from battlefield contamination. But the errors multiplied. Security feeds in the lower decks glitched for half a second, then came back, then shifted again, now showing empty corridors that were not empty. The commander turned sharply. Report. A technician's voice tightened. Unknown system interference. Inside the pod, the human was still sitting, still restrained, still surrounded by electromagnetic locks designed to suppress muscle activation at neural level. But his head was tilted slightly downward now, like he was listening to something no one else could hear. And then he smiled, barely, not visible unless you were watching closely. And something about that expression made the room colder. Alarms did not activate. Not yet. That was the worst part. The ship's AI hesitated, as if it was unsure whether what it was detecting qualified as a threat. Then, a new message appeared on every terminal simultaneously. Unauthorized signal access detected. The commander stepped back. That's impossible. He's contained. The scientist shouted. He's not transmitting. There's no output signal. Another technician slammed a console. Then where is the interference coming from? The soldier finally spoke again. Quiet, calm. You really think this is containment? The commander turned. What did you say? Inside the pod, the soldier slowly lifted his head. His eyes were open now, fully, focused, measuring everything. Not like a prisoner, like an observer inside a poorly designed system. You built a cage, he said softly, inside a system you don't control. The commander's voice hardened. You are a prisoner of the Galactic Council. The soldier tilted his head slightly. Council? A short pause. Then, almost like he was repeating something from memory. Didn't think you guys were real. Shipwide systems began failing in isolated sections. Not explosions, not sabotage. Something more subtle. Doors that should have remained locked, unlocked, then locked again, then reconfigured. Data streams rerouted themselves without command authorization. A technician panicked. Someone is inside the ship's architecture. The commander snapped. That's impossible. No external access. But the soldier's voice came again. Soft, almost bored. I'm not external. Silence. Then, I'm inside your observation layer. A technician screamed. That layer is isolated. The soldier answered immediately. It was. Deep within the ship's core, something long dormant began to respond. Not AI, not alien code, something older, something buried under layers of encryption and deception. A protocol that had not been activated in decades. The ship's systems began displaying symbols no alien technician recognized. Human symbols, old ones. Military-grade encryption markers from a civilization that was supposed to be primitive. The commander's hands tightened. "What did you do?" The soldier didn't answer immediately. Instead, he leaned back inside the containment pod, relaxed, like the restraints were no longer relevant. "Then I didn't do anything." A pause. "You did." The lights in the chamber dimmed for a fraction of a second. Every screen across the ship changed simultaneously, now displaying a single line of text. "Omega authorization requested." The scientist whispered, "That designation doesn't exist in our database." The soldier's voice came again. "It doesn't exist in yours." A long silence. Then, "It exists in ours." Outside the ship, deep space sensors began to react. Far beyond Kepler 442b, far beyond the immediate system, signals were waking. Not fast, not loud, but precise, coordinated, like something that had been waiting for this exact moment. The alien commander turned slowly back toward the containment chamber. Inside, the human soldier was no longer looking weak, no longer injured, no longer contained. He was simply waiting, and the waiting had purpose now. "What are you?" the commander asked quietly. The soldier looked at him for a long moment, then answered, "Something you should have left alone."